Hey, this is Gene. I've been sick for a while. I'm kind of still sick, but um, I had to respond to what came out today just recently from the college football committee. Rick Stock asked them to do something just to basically say how they came to the decision for the college football for Florida State, and they basically just responded to him with a canned response. You can find it, it's everywhere now. I'm going to go through a little bit. To me, it's basically nondescript, basically just using the same talking points. Uh, but I just want to say something before. Like I said, I'm not feeling really well, not really sure where this is going to go. I'm going to try to keep it to sports as much as I can. But I will, the last couple of days, because I was dealing with this health issue, I think it was COVID. I don't, there is something that's going around that's very similar. I had COVID 2 years ago. I think it was a little bit worse what I had there. This one was just kind of scared me a little bit more. As I'm getting older, when you can't walk around with the idea that there's pneumonia around because that will kill somebody my age. Even though I walk every day, I have good, what I think is a decent immune system. But you don't want to deal with that. So last night, I think I lost probably 3 pounds. I mean, I just sweat through the blankets. Uh, Last time that happened to me was when I had, before I knew I had cancer. A lot of these, a lot of these aircraft are going over the house, and they're like going right toward each other through the contrails and everything. It's interesting to see. That might be aliens though. Anyway, um, but it's strange that they released this stuff on a Friday, on an afternoon on a Friday. I mean, this is all political theater. Before I go into this and I analyze it, I just, I don't understand. I really don't understand other fan bases, especially in Florida, like the University of Florida or Miami, having any issue with us having to complain about it. They clearly would do the same thing if it happened to them. Alabama would do the same thing. If everything was exactly the same, they would say it was wrong. This should be universally, unanimously be discredited. It shouldn't have ever happened. You can't make the college football playoff with four teams and say this is really for the Power Five. And what we're going to do is we're going to reward the Power Five and the conference champions from those divisions, and then we might give a bone to the Power Five teams like Cincinnati or Liberty, or if in the old days it might have been Boise State or BYU, and they'd be able to go into the Big Six type of bowls. They just they went away from that charter. You had five Power Five conference champions. You had three of them were undefeated. The other three had one loss. But somehow you said that two of them that had losses should be in over the one another undefeated team. And then you look at their rationale of what they did. They used basically the word that I've said, that I've trademarked in my mind, that this is now the Jordan Travis rule, that if a very key person on your team is out, we can now disqualify you because clearly football is not a team game. And even though we can look at many examples where somebody came back, a backup quarterback came in and won everything. In my lifetime, I've seen it many times. I've seen. I mean, how did become? Wow, they're everywhere. Seriously, there's like 7 or 8 of these contrails right now. It's crazy. I guess they don't come out here at night. um, his whole career became he was a backup, and he went and they won the Super Bowl. Blasco got hurt, and then he went in, and all this shit happened. Um, so these guys know that that is not a viable thing, but they used it, and they used the other thing, the strength of schedule too, something that Florida State can't change We can't look at Miami's going to go out and be 6-6. We can't go out and Florida State or Florida's going to be 5-7. We can't, or we have a. We probably shouldn't have scheduled them because obviously Northern Alabama destroyed my quarterback, but they were like 3-8. That probably would have been good. But the truth has to be this, is that we all knew that it was going to happen regardless. They had to have the SEC champion in there. I said it 4 or 5 weeks before it happened. If this happened, this was going to happen. It happened. I didn't want it to happen, of course. But the idea now is we're supposed to just take it. And they're not going to give me, they're going to give, this is their type of excuse. So they use this stuff, basically the Jordan Travis rule. But that rule, if you look at their actual charters, it's supposed to be when you actually compare teams, similar games or similar teams. Well, how can we should not be even compared against Alabama or Texas? We didn't lose a game. So if you want to compare us to Washington or Michigan, great. Then we're third in that. So that's pretty easy, right? Those three are in. And then you have to make the hard decision between Texas and Alabama, Georgia, whatever, at that point. But they couldn't do that because we know why. And that's the issue, other issues that I have with fans. I mean, we all know what happened here. They all know this, but they're gonna continually say, yeah, they're right. And then people on Twitter saying, yeah, I think they actually they correctly said that. Yeah, I mean, look at their granted schedule. I mean, yeah, but our record was 3. Was strength of record was 3. So now we're gonna. I mean, it's not like we had a bad out of conference schedule or schedule overall. It's just the ACC was down, the SEC was down. Their wins were not great, and this kind of happens every now and then that we have this. So it's like you're comparing us to the one-loss teams when that should never happen. So they went against their own rules, just to make sure you get an SEC team in the Final Four. And of course, they're not going to say that because they would be colluding of the SEC over another partner that they have in the ACC with the ESPN. So you can't say that. But that's exactly what happened, and everyone knows this. If I was a Florida fan, I would say this as well. This is nothing about being about. I don't want Florida State to play in the playoff. I mean, everybody thinks we'd get blown out anyway. So why do you care? If you're a Florida fan and you hate Alabama because they always win everything, are you still going to always want Alabama to win, or you have to have the SEC in all the time? Is it just something you have to have? That tells me a little bit more about you than you really want to know. So, if Miami would have been okay, there's another thing too. Now, what in that thing, Rick Scott said you didn't do anything. This is just bullshit, and I want transparency. I want what you actually did. We already have our own attorney general that's going after him, so we'll get that at some point. We're not going to get it this year, but something might come from it. But before all this was going on, they were talking about other times in history that Florida State got shit that they shouldn't have got, and I don't defend any of that. I mean, in 1993 was the first time we got anything that went our way, but it wasn't our fault that Notre Dame lost at home to Boston College in the last game of the year, and they scored 39 points at home and lost to Boston College. They win that game, they're in the Orange Bowl against Nebraska, and Nebraska would have kicked the shit out of them because that Nebraska team became one of the greatest ever after they played us. So I would have loved to seen that, and we'd have went to the Cotton Bowl and did what we did, and we probably would have finished second that year. But there was a lot of other things going on at that time. It was almost a time. It was like it was Bobby's time to win, and everybody thought if they had a chance to get the win, they're going to give him a chance. And the human factor got in there. This is before you had the computers come in and doing what they did. So they allowed Bobby to do this. So you can say that we shouldn't have got that, or it should have been another. I don't know if there was another undefeated team that day. There might have been. I think West Virginia might have been that year. But that was like the Power Five. It was not the same. And when they became years later, they did that. They played at Notre Dame and they got blown out. And that was the year that Miami got left out. And I thought that that was wrong. And I was a Florida State fan. I respected Miami, and I thought they should have had the rematch against Notre Dame. I think that'd have been better for college football. And they, of course, Notre Dame went in there and beat them, and Miami did what they did, and they finished second that year. And then they also go back to 2000. And I'm like, all right, do you want me to defend this as well? I don't want to defend how we played in the Orange Bowl that year because we didn't show up. Just say that. I would have rather that Miami would have showed up and beat Oklahoma. But we lost at Miami by 3 points. We missed a field goal at the end to tie it. Didn't have overtime back then. And they lost at Washington. Now, they actually had a longer winning streak than we did. But we lost to the team that was two in the country, right? And they allowed a computer at that time, and the computer spit us out. It's not like somebody said, give it to Florida State. They had this little system that did this, and it spitted us out. And it was a very close thing. I think it was in like the third decimal. I mean, it was very, very close, and we got it. But we were also the defending champion, and we had won all these games other than the Miami game. And that when a computer looks at it, and it's all binary, 1 and 1, they look at it and say, that was a bad or a good loss compared to another good loss, and ours was better. It is what it is, right? It's nowhere close to what just happened to us. And it's okay. I can count how many times that we had chances that were taken away from us. I mean, I understand on both sets of fans. Notre Dame, not really, because they fucking lost the last game of the year. They shouldn't be able to again. But again, Florida just, same thing happened to them. We beat them. Everybody else lost. They win the SEC championship game, and they come and play us and beat us and win the championship. So it's shocking to me when they bring this shit up to us years later, say as some sort of a reason why that we shouldn't be in the playoff. So the biggest thing that the college football committee said is that little, what I'm going to call the Jordan Travis rule from all time, is that is why we're out, and the strength of schedule. Because when we compare it to everybody else that we were comparing it to, again, he's talking now. They're putting us with the one-loss teams. It's like they have no affinity if you're undefeated unless you're not from the ACC. If you're from Michigan and you look at their strength of schedule, you look at Washington and their strength of schedule, and you realize it's very similar to Florida State. And you wonder why are we not being compared about them? And maybe we are actually second or first in the country, regardless whether we have our backup quarterback at all. They've made their point. Their point is they have bowed down to whatever it is that runs college football. And they think that they have to have the SEC champion in the college football playoff. That's what they did. I wish they would just have the balls to come out and say it. Now, some people have actually said it. They said that they did it for ratings and everything else. I find it hard to believe that Florida State would not have a lot of people watching them play against Michigan. And I'm in the position where who do I want to win that game? Now, I live in Alabama. There are people across the streets that have Alabama shit in their yard. They know what I know. I put my flag out after this happened, and people understand where I stand. I'm not going to get up in their face and say what happened was wrong. But I'm not going to root for Alabama. They should not be in this position. But why would I vote for Michigan? Regardless of the school, is a bunch of liberal cesspool bullshit. As far as university, they cheated, and they shouldn't be in the Final Four. So we have a college football playoff that knows that their coach has been suspended 7 times in this year. And probably should be suspended indefinitely and not ever come back to Michigan. They're just, all of a sudden, we don't hear nothing about it anymore. And we know that they did it, and they're allowed to be in this. So I have the two people that are basically the black sheeps right here. And why would I want to win any of them to win? And I'm like, well, if Alabama wins and then Texas wins, then they all have a loss, and then we go undefeated, beat Georgia, and I'm like, we're gonna get we're not gonna get shit. So you already see what's happened to our team and also Georgia at this time. It's like it's your fault because you didn't schedule your schedule better. So we fight we play SEC teams every year. We go through our undefeated season, undefeated. This was not have happened. That never would happen to Clemson. I wouldn't think. I don't see how that could have been because they've won championships. Of course, we have in the last 10 years as well. So that's basically it. I mean, I can go on about this forever. It's people just need to just say, you know, what it is what it is. Uh, Allow us to vent, get it out. Let our elected officials to go out and do what they're going to do. And if we get some sort of transparency from it, so it won't happen again, and everybody can say, "Gee, it's not because we're going to go to the 12th team next year." I was like, well, if they have this arbitrary ways that they're going to do it, it's going to stop somebody from not being in it, which is going to be at some point. But it's not what it should be. We already know college football is never going to be the same because of name, image, and likeness. When you see that you can't even look at your team anymore, this is one of the reasons why I didn't watch college basketballs anymore. Because every year they would just come in and play for one, or basically a semester, and then they go to the NBA. I loved it back when teams were together for 3 or 4 years, and they played so well. And you see these teams that were not as athletic as some others, but they get the Final Four, and then some might win a championship, and played a really fundamental basketball. You don't see that anymore. It's all one-on-one and stream. It's not the same as it used to be. I mean, it's similar if you watch 80s basketball against now. Maybe they're more athletic now, but the game is totally different, and it's not better. And you're going to see that as far as in college football. You can't continually just train out players all the time like that. You'll never have the consistency and fluidity that you're going to have if you're with together for a long time and actually building the stuff. So, as a coach, I really feel bad for Mike Norvell because he got those guys to buy in, and clearly he thought that they'd done everything, they checked every box to get to the college football playoff, and now what we're seeing is the results of them, some of them leaving because of what just happened. The fact that basically in their little letter today, they said that the ACC is a group of five. It is not really a Power Five conference anymore, or that was just a little salvo to do before we get the 12-team playoff. And what you're going to see probably in the next one, you may just see basically people from the SEC and the Big Ten being in the championship games, or they're going to just seed the AC champion as being like 11th or 12th, so that they have to go on the road against one of the better teams instead of no matter what you do as far as your schedule. And now, why would Alabama and those guys even schedule anybody anymore? They're going to have more and more easy opponents. But anyway, tell me what you think of the comps. This has nothing. This is not being me just jealous. I know who the best team in the country is. I've already told you we are. I'm not talking about on the field. I'm talking about the actual definition of being a team. It's not even close. It's Florida State. So I would put my team up against anybody, and regardless of what it says on the scoreboard, I know we're the best team on the field. Wow. See, I'm not fully back, obviously. Oh, wow. It is a nice day out here, though. Just sucks that I never get sick until my wife, who works in the education field, brings shit back home. Happened when I got COVID the first time. and whatever this is. You know, it's always fun. Oh, there are people at work that have this, and then 2 weeks later, she has it, and then I have it. And then I have to deal with my son, who has issues. And my other son had it last time, and it almost killed him because he would not drink anything. He wouldn't take any water. Had to take him in a damn emergency room to give him fluids, and then all of a sudden he was good the next day. I mean, he was like I had to carry him out of the house. It's an adult man. Anyway, like I said, this is no slight on any team. It's just, I just wish everybody should be universal to be getting the actual things and find out what's actually happened. And we all know what happened. And I guess that might be the only issue, is that we all know, but we never actually know. It's unfortunate, but it's just funny that it came out on Thursday or Wednesday or Friday. That's how they do that. It's a political theater. Clearly, they got advice and I mean, the response I could have done in a week or in 2 minutes. They just did the same thing that they said they were doing. This is why we did this. This is why we did this. And because he was this and that, he was this. And I'm like, okay. Anyway, I'm going to let it go. You guys have a good day. Oh, before I leave, I just remembered things. By doing this, it caused a lot of the issues with the recruits that we're trying right now through the portal and all that stuff, and guys are going to transfer portal. And it is an actual monetary damage to the university. And we can somewhat alleviate that by giving money to these places that help for the NAL. But they've clearly probably took $20-30 million from the university. So I think there's a claim to actually sue the College Football Playoff Committee, and I think that's where we're going to go to. And I'm sure they'll settle, and we're going to get something at some point saying that they somewhat admit to that they did it for ratings, and this was a TV show after all, and they should understand that, and we should understand that. And then we'll all know what that really means. Now, again, you're going to have still people on both sides who are going to say it doesn't really matter. Alabama shouldn't be there. And it's very possible that Alabama, even though I think it's one of the best or worst Alabama teams in the last 10 years, might win. I don't think they will. But I think they're probably the best team that's in there, which is crazy. It's one of those things, yeah, I looked at all this stuff, and, you know, if we just want to look at that, just put Alabama number one. They did that back in the day in 2014. Even though we were undefeated, the only one team that was undefeated, and they put Alabama number one, and they lost to Ohio State, who had lost the ACC team that year. And it's like, well, Gene, the reason why you didn't go in because the backup quarterback, you know, put up 59 points against Wisconsin or that's the difference between yours and your backup. And I was like, they lost a game that year. We've lost none. We should never have been compared about any team that lost by one game. And they know that's in their charter not to do that. And they violated that. And everybody knows this. And now they're we had to look at strength of schedule. And you had to look at the fact that it was a key, and we had to check it. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't work. It didn't work when you said it on the day. It's still wrong today. But you guys have a good day. I'm going to get out of here because I think another coughing fit's going to come on soon. And you have a good weekend.